Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are out here hanging out with our chickens a little bit. You can see them in the background roaming around here. And I wanted to show you guys something I thought was pretty cool, very useful, and really saves us a lot of work around our homestead. It really helps to make our chickens self-sufficient for us. And that is this system right here that you see. So the concept of this is a rainwater catch system. And it does just that. It catches rainwater for us. We have a 50-gallon barrel right here that holds it and stores it for us, and then it feeds our water and the chickens. You can't see that right now, but I'll show you that in a little bit. I just kind of wanted to show you guys how it works. Maybe you want to build one. Maybe you're thinking about building one. I haven't seen anything exactly like this online. I'm sure somebody else has something similar, but I haven't seen anything exactly like this, and I wanted to share it with you guys. So the main part of this is our metal roof up here. So I wanted to use a metal roof on our run because, I built that a couple of years ago before this whole rainwater catch system, which we're going on probably about a year and a half of having now, and had zero issues with it so far. But the metal roof I built a while ago, knowing that eventually I wanted to catch rainwater off of it. I went with metal because there's not really any chemicals or anything that you need to worry about on the metal, just kind of natural debris, leaves, pollen, things like that. Shingles, if you didn't know, they can be treated with chemicals and can, contaminate your water with those chemicals potentially. So I didn't want to take that risk for our chickens and the eggs that we get from our chickens, things like that. So we have a metal roof. That's pretty important to us, at least. We thought that was important. And then we have this gutter. This is a 10-foot section of metal gutter. Just got that from Home Depot or Lowe's. It's pre-bent, and I got the end caps with it. And then from there, it's just 1.5 inch PVC. So the idea with this is, like I said just a couple seconds ago, is I don't want the leaves and whatever other debris are on this roof to come down into our water system. So I have what I like to call the first flush system on here. And this is this 1.5 inch pipe. So you can see there's a T right here. This T is actually what fills up our catch barrel for the rain. The way that water comes into this is it needs to come down and it needs to fill up this whole pipe. So all the way down here on the bottom, I have a threaded cap that goes in there, and I have that very loosely threaded in so water can slowly leak out. And the way water gets up into the barrel is now all of that pollen and leaves and anything like that will get washed down, sit in here, and the first couple gallons are just automatically going to go into this pipe. And then once it backs up far enough, now it can overflow into this T and down into there. That stops a lot of the pollen, the pine needles, leaves, a lot of the smaller debris from getting into our actual rainwater. So I thought that was a pretty cool system. I do like having that. It does work pretty well. We had a very heavy pollen season here this year, and you can actually see, so there's some like pollen residue on the front of this barrel. So some pollen was getting in here, but pollen will float in water for a while, for a decent amount of time. And as this fills up, it's full now, and it's pretty much always full. We're on the East Coast, and it does rain quite often here throughout the summer and spring and things like that. So this fills up quickly and pretty much remains full to where this is always overflowing every storm as well. So the barrel has this overflow on it built into the barrel itself. And that's what you see here, is just the overflow, the water running down the front of the barrel right to the ground there. You definitely need an overflow on your barrel. If not, it would be flowing out where your water is going to be coming in, and that's not necessarily the best. So it is nice having this separate overflow here. And for the outlet, we have just a hose spigot on here. This was just a hose spigot that I put on. And then we have just a little, I think it's a 10 or 12-foot hose I have on there just to get over to the water in our coop. I'll show you that in a minute here. We'll clear out the chickens, or maybe we'll join the chickens in their enclosed run and show you guys their water if they're nice. One thing I do periodically though, and I'm going to do it right now, is feels like there is a little bit of water in here. So I'll just come unscrew this cap and just let it drain out. Yeah, so there's a little bit of water. So I'll just let it drain out and let it do its thing. Clear that out, and then the next rainstorm, like I said, it slowly drips out. Sometimes it gets clogged though with some things, so I always just try and unscrew it. I'll just unscrew it all the way actually. Yeah, decent amount of water in there. Some leaves and stuff like that, so that was definitely clogging that up. We'll leave that off for now, but I'll screw it back on. And we just leave that loose. And yeah, that's it for the outside here. It's pretty simple. Metal roof, metal gutter, 1.5 inch PVC, overflow into the rain barrel, and then from there it goes to our inside waterer, which is where our chickens drink from. So I'll set up the camera in there. We have this, I think this is either 2 or 3 gallon container here, and it has 2 cups on them for them to come drink from as they want. And this is our hose coming in from where we just were at the catch barrel. And this just has a float system in here. I'll get you guys a close-up of this. But ideally with the float, I have it up towards the top here. Water trickles in until it fills up. Once that float is full, it stops the water flow. Now this is all mechanical. There's no electrical to this. We have no electricity down at our coop here. So this is all just based on the flow of water and mechanical mechanism in here to stop it. Pretty much just uses a little bottle as a float and stops it flowing once it fills up. So it's pretty cool, pretty handy. This has never let us down. The only time we had an issue with this is, sorry, I'm just watching the rooster in here. He's the only one in here and he got trapped with me and I don't think he's happy about it. All of his ladies are, there we go. Let him go out. Yeah, so all of his ladies were out on the other run, so, and he was the only one trapped in here. I don't think he was too happy about that. But back on track now. So this has never let us down except for one time, and that was because one of the chickens knocked off or broke off one of the dishes here, which just let this completely empty out. And since it's tied to that other barrel, we lost the other barrel too. So that was about 52, 53 gallons of water if that rain barrel was full. That just went on the ground here. So somehow it didn't make that big of a mess. It is downhill behind here, so most of the water just flowed downhill. Now it's a slow trickle too. This float valve, since it's not electrical and it's just mechanical, it doesn't really spew out water. There's no pump or really force except for gravity behind this. It's all just gravity fed. This is all downhill of the rain barrel over there that we were looking at earlier. So there's a little bit of pressure, but not enough to where it's like spewing out and really does too much damage when something like that breaks off. It did stink though. So that was the only time I had to haul water down here, was to refill that. I got 2 5-gallon buckets, filled them about 3/4 of the way, brought them down and dumped them in there. So I put maybe 9 gallons, 8, 9 gallons in that 50-gallon barrel just to get it up and going again. A couple days later, it rained and filled that right back up, and we were back in business. Now, this we keep out here year round. Actually, the whole system we keep out here year round. But when we start freezing, so late November, early December for us, December, January, February, I pretty much have this turned off. And we just haul water and manually fill this up all the time. And then we have other dishes too that we use in the wintertime, like just open bowls and things like that, where it's a little bit easier to put some hot water in. And we don't have to worry about the freezing as much, because these do get a little fragile in the wintertime when it freezes. So, but inevitably in the wintertime, I will disconnect this hose from the rain barrel over there. I unthread that cap on the bottom that you guys saw me unthread a couple seconds ago. And then I just leave all of that open so there's airflow and nothing really freezes to the point of where it's going to break anything. I drain that whole barrel out as well and leave that valve open. And you know, just by leaving it open, it's primarily empty. There's a little bit of water down the bottom, but by leaving it open, gives it plenty of air and space to expand and contract as it freezes and thaws throughout the winter time. So never had any issues with that. It's never cracked on us or anything like that. And like I said, just that one issue of a chicken breaking off the dish and allowing that water to drain out is the only issue we ever ran into the system. So it is a pretty easy, low maintenance system. I mean, you guys saw me drain that bottom cap now. I've maybe done that a total of 4 or 5 times within 2 years of having it. So it's not really needed to be done. As long as you have that slow drip, it just naturally drips out and drains itself. So let me show you guys a close up of this float valve. Okay, so here we are looking in the container now, and that's the float valve that I was talking about. So you can see when I push it down, you can hear the water start flowing again. You could hear the air coming out, but you can see the water flowing there, and it fills that up. Right now the water's off because that float valve did its thing, lifted it up and shut it off. So I mean, it's pretty simple, not much to go wrong there, and it works every time. Show you the hose. Sorry, we have red clay and the chickens get the red clay dust on everything. So that's the hose that goes into the back of our barrel there on the outside of the run. I just have it propped up on some cinder blocks there holding it up, and that gives me the gravity fed pressure that I need to get water down through this hose into here. Guys, that's all I have for this week. It's a shorter video, but I thought this was pretty cool and it's very useful. So, I wanted to share this. If you guys have any questions, let me know, put it down in the comments. Happy to use it. If you are interested in this and you need like a detailed parts list or anything like that, let me know. It is going to be a little different for everybody's situation on what pipe you need, but like I said, I just used 1.5" PVC and readily available PVC fittings. So up here, I just have a coupling with a like a bushing that goes inside the coupling, and then it's just 1.5" T, 245s to get me back to close to the edge here where I want it to be, just for aesthetic reasons. It could have came straight down, I guess. And then I have a 90 maladapter and a threaded plug on the end, and a 90 up here. So all 1.5" fittings that I got from Home Depot. This barrel, and so the barrel, the hose, and the water distribution jug, whatever you want to call that, inside, where the chickens actually drink from. I got that all off of Amazon, pretty reasonably priced on there. I probably have less than $150 in this, and it saves us from hauling water. I do wish this worked in the wintertime, because once we have to drain this guy and shut it off and haul water down here, it reminds us of the old days of where we had to haul water all year round. So which is not horrible, but it is nice having this, and it's one less thing we have to worry about, especially like if we ever go out of town or something like that. I know with this, it'll supply, even if it doesn't rain, it'll supply the chickens with water for over a month. I mean, they drink about a gallon and a half a day in water with 20 chickens. So this will supply them for a lot of days if we go out of town, more than we would ever leave. And then for food too, we do have I think that's a 55 or 60 gallon trash can, and we can fill that up too, and that makes it pretty friendly to leave if we ever want to. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, give us a thumbs up. It helps grow the channel a lot, and we appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe if you aren't subscribed already. And if you have any comments, feel free to put them down. I try and answer them as quickly as I can. All right, have a nice night, and thanks for tuning in.